If you want to play it and see for yourself, I dare you. I dare you. I fucking dare you.
I dare you.
I dare you. But just one warning, you will not be happy.
Okay. Spiderman, Return of the Sinister 6. I never played this when I was a kid. I had a cousin who owned it, but we never played it. I never asked him why. I just remember going through his box of games and I'd bring out this cartridge every once in a while and he'd just say, no. Not gonna lie, I kind of forgot that this game even existed until the Nerds review back in 2008, and then again when I binged the Nerds reviews late last year. So let's dive right into it and find out if Spider-Man Return of the Sinister 6 is really that bad. First things first, the controls. Are they as bad as the Nerds stated? Well, let's see what he said.
I'm trying to understand the controls here. Alright, A punches. If you tap A, it does like a jump kick. Oh, you hold the button and it shoots the web. The control is awful.
Well, he's not wrong. The controls are clunky and stiff. Once you jump in a direction, you are either dedicated to that trajectory, or if you press the opposite direction, you just stop in midair. One thing he did fail to mention was the web sling. If you press B and A, he shoots a short web that can stick to some platforms and backgrounds. This becomes important later on in the game. So I walk up to the first enemy I see and introduce myself with the patented Spidey handshake. After murdering a random person on their nightly jog, I decided to climb the building and introduce myself to the rooftop runner. In all seriousness, we are playing a Spider-Man game where he punches and kicks enemies so hard that they just explode. This, kinda badass. Speaking of badass, Spider-Man just shit on an enemy that exploded. That's what I call having the explosive shits. My only real complaint about the first stage is the rockets that just appear on the right that barely give you time to react, and the mines that are so tiny that you can barely see them, causing you to take unnecessary damage. The second part of the level has you going through a blue tinted warehouse with electricity as hazards. Pretty easy to avoid. Speaking of avoid, that's all this boss does. This fight is so easy yet so frustrating. Let's see how the nerd handled it.
There's no, like, jump kick move. Like, you can't jump and then do an attack.
Well, then don't do that move.
Well, I can't hit him when he's in the air.
Well, wait for him to come down then.
Look, now what's he doing? He's not gonna come up.
Yeah, he had the same problems I had. Electro just doesn't want to fight. He floats around in the air where you can't hit him because you don't have a jump attack. Or he just chills under the level calling you an asshole. Best way I've found to get some hits in is when he goes to the bottom, just jump up on the higher platforms and force him back up, then try my best to get an attack in. The next level is Sandman stages. This is where I started to get a little frustrated with the game. At first it seems like it's a maze. You run around and eventually you find some TNT. Yes, the explosive shits were his gateway drug to real explosives. We get the plunger for the TNT. Now where do we go? If you go all the way to the right, it leads to a dead end. If you drop down, it's a dead end. Even Spider-Man himself couldn't get out of this hole. I even got a game over to restart and avoid going down there, but every time I somehow ended up down there. Till I figured it out. It actually makes sense. Just watch. Yeah, you can swing around stuff with your web. Huh, who knew? Anyways, after I used the TNT to blow up a box, I make it to Sandman and his fight is pretty easy, but at times seems RNG. Like, it's just random who gets to attack and who gets hit. Either way, he's just dust in the wind and I get to move on to level 3. This is Mysterio's level. This is where the bullshit gets cranked up a little. The bombs that fall from the sky are really easy to dodge, but those butterflies that turn into missiles rarely miss. And the zombies are the most busted enemy so far. If you don't have room for a jump kick, you ain't getting past one. It was at this point in the game that I noticed something. This game don't have any items, besides the little jars of web fluid that allow you to shoot like 3 webs. So if there are no items, how am I supposed to heal? Because you only get 2 lives and no continues. Yeah, this is where they LJ'd it up. They expect you to go through the entire game only dying once. So you at least think to give you a way to replenish health besides the little bit they give you for defeating a boss. Well, they did. After you defeat so many enemies, you get 1 bar of health. I don't think this is the Spider-Man we all grew up loving. I think this is the version from when he snapped and started killing everyone. It makes sense why everyone explodes when he punches him. He's always holding back his true strength when fighting. Our boy is out for blood and he's consuming the blood of his enemies for health. So I get to Mysterio and he's pretty easy. Okay, now I've defeated him. Okay, now fuck off! How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Finally, on to the next level. This level is where it goes full on bullshit. The vulture just flies directly over you, dropping shit bombs on you. These are impossible to dodge. He's so close to you when he drops them, it's bullshit. It's also raining missiles, guys popping out of the sewers with bazookas. I just end up running and jumping through this, hoping for the best. The fight with the vulture was pretty easy. Too bad I had no health coming into this fight, because all he had to do was hit me one time to send me back to the starting screen. And that last attack he did was bullshit. I tried to get back there, but I couldn't get past the Mysterio level because of all those fucking zombies. But what is my verdict on this game? Well, with it being an LJN produced game, I was expecting it to once again be hot garbage. But like Friday the 13th, they didn't completely shit the bed. I think if they had given us at least one continue, it would have made the game a lot more playable. The controls are clunky, but not to the point that it's unplayable. Outside of there being no continues and no good way of healing because you're gonna take damage while trying to heal, this game isn't bad. I'll definitely play it again sometime down the road and try my best to beat it. Let's see what the nerd thinks of the game.
It's a piece of shit!
I stand corrected, this game is a piece of shit. Thank y'all for watching, hope you enjoyed. Tune in next week for Ground Zero Texas. And thank you to my supporters over on Twitch, greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to catch a run live or just become part of the Twitch community, you can follow me there at Rocky Top Bob. Hope to see y'all there.